Hey everyone, Alex Divoletti from Detroit Speed, and today we're going to feature a vehicle that we've been working on that has been in the background a lot of our videos and project updates. A bunch of guys have asked about it, so now we're going to talk about it. It's kind of been the elephant in the room. Everyone's seen it, but no one knows anything about it. Right here is a 1966 Toyota FJ45LV, and I brought in Matt and Jason to talk about it. So I'll flip the camera around and we'll give you an update on what we've done to this vehicle and where it goes from here. Toyota FJ at Detroit Speed. What are we doing with this? What is it? What's the backstory? Because like I said, everyone's seen it and no one knows anything about it. So let's just air it all out. Go front to rear and talk about the entire project.
So backstory, it's an FJ40-ish kind of, so it's a 45LV. So windshield forward, it's like your FJ40. Most everybody's seen those. But the LV is a model that Toyota did not make very many of. So it's basically like a wagon or an SUV. FJ45 is what it is.
So what's LV stand for?
I don't know. I would assume long vehicle, but could be wrong.
I mean, if you just look, it's because typically your standard FJ40 is like here, maybe, so more room for activities.
Yep, 4 doors. You know, and so they super low production, and they only brought, I think, 500-ish to the States or something like that.
Really? Okay.
Left-hand drive. So they're super hard to come by. They're really cool. So yeah. That's what it started as, and then we basically took it. It was started at Kyle Busch's shop. It's on a 2014 Lexus GX chassis, so it's all-wheel drive V8. GX460.
So essentially, it's a 65 or 66 FJ, but the only thing that's FJ about it is the body.
Yep, the exterior.
Yeah, and everything else is completely changed.
Frame, drivetrain.
Yep.
So, how did that come about?
I don't know how it initially got started. They started the project at KBM. They got the initial body widened, just the main part of the body, because the Lexus is like 3.5 inches wider than the original FJ.
Okay.
So the 4 to 6 inches throughout the vehicle.
Yep.
Changes throughout a little.
So basically they got started on it. They had the main body widened, and that's pretty much where it stopped. So from that point they contacted us basically about finishing all the major fab work, and then of course the huge task of making all the electronics and all of the computer systems and everything work and make it run. So
integrate and fit in all the Lexus drivetrain and computers and everything, all to fit into a space with they didn't have more than a couple wires to begin with.
Right.
So yeah, it's
I think the biggest feat with this is, I know you were handed totes of wires, and it was just kind of like, hey,
yeah, just
figure it out. And
little totes that used to be all of a Lexus, and
right,
all just left in the ball. Yeah.
And I know you went back and forth with Toyota engineers, and
they've been very helpful in trying to figure out the little stuff and what was missing, and and connector identifications, and
at one point there was not much confidence from the people at Toyota that it was possible to make this thing run in this configuration. So I mean,
yeah, without any standalone or anything, this is all operating off of Toyota computers.
Yes, there's no other support ECUs with it, all run off of Toyota's equipment.
Well, let's take a closer look at that and kind of just explain it to people. I think would be the best thing to do.
Well, we managed to fit, since the FJ doesn't have any channels or any way to pass any electrical through the outside, everything had to go down the center console. So in the center console is the entire Lexus harness, minimized down to BCM and ECM and drivetrain fuse box and original fuse box. everything down inside there, and and underneath the seats being some of the other modules. So yeah, probably
You can't see, it's just a box now.
Yeah, so underneath the driver's side, well, the driver's side here has got all the modules that you can only communicate via OBD2. So there's no really need to get to those. Everything underneath the passenger seat has user functions. So we have steering angle sensor, the original cluster, which had to stay with it, is underneath there.
Right.
So if in a diag situation, you could take the passenger seat out, drive, and be able to look over anything over there, make any adjustments needed. But yeah, everything, an entire Lexus harness fits underneath this section right here.
That is absolutely crazy. And I guess, can you explain to people why we have to have things like that? Is it like, what do those serve the purpose for the computer? Why does the computer need to see those sensors? Well,
in this one situation, that we got 6 different CAN bus networks that all have to still have communication with each other, or at least majority of them for other systems to function. So they all talk to each other and wait for the okay from other computers. So of the computers, there was 38 computers originally. We're down to the 11 essential ones that it needs to run on.
Mm-hmm.
But because the transmission is 100% electrical shifted, it has to be run by computer, and it has to be okay with all the other stuff, especially the ABS in this situation. So use the ABS, and then it's translated in the original cluster, and that's what tells the transmission to shift, because it uses it for yaw and skid control. So anytime it skids, the transmission will adjust. It'll take out throttle, and that's in conjunction with the ABS speed sensors is how it knows it's skidding. So without any of that, the transmission doesn't do anything.
So essentially, this entire vehicle is a fairly new Lexus.
Yeah,
it all operates the same.
Actually is very similar. Not much has changed since then. These models. This is the very first one of this model, I believe, might actually still in production in this form. So
right.
So yes, this is all. I mean, it still has every little little thing it had. All throughout. So like I say, the modern ABS traction control. You can say, you name it, it has all of this.
Like tire pressure monitoring system.
It had airbags. It had every option. This was the full luxury edition. It had adjustable sway bars originally. Even the fuel pump is it's a crazy stepper fuel pump that had to be adapted into a fuel tank. So
I think this is even the all-wheel drive model too. So it's
full-time all-wheel drive.
All-wheel drive
with selectable 4-wheel drive and center diff lock. So
yeah, center diff lock. Yep. So. And then still trying to, in this case, incorporating, a whole lot of new stuff, that to that electrical system. Even that in itself, between the light bars and all the fog lights, and just a lot more loads, stereo. So
yeah.
And for that to still be okay on an original Lexus electrical system, to upgrade it, but still have it, because it controls the alternator even. So yeah, there was a lot of things that that. You had to treat it like you were doing it to a new Lexus, because it still is, and it still thinks it is.
Right. Yeah, so that's the most important part.
It still thinks it is, because you really can't modify the Toyota computer for any of the extras. So you have to kind of play within their rules, and then make it all still fit, and to shrink it down into something small enough to package.
Yeah, to go from, would you say 38 computers?
38 computers
to 11. I mean, that's just amazing, where you can figure out what's necessary, what's not necessary, how you can trick certain things. So that's just that's amazing.
I mean, even in this situation, underneath this seat is a seat oscillator that knows if a passenger comes in here before it will turn on the push start. So,
okay.
So it knows. We had to work with the key fob, because it is it's always waiting for it. So that's all integrated in with the push start. But like I said, we had to keep the seat oscillator so it knew a person was in this seat before it'll let that button start.
And what are these out of? Are these the Lexus seats, or?
Those are late model FJ Cruiser seats. So cool thing we found out along the way, this has the full Lexus floor pan welded in, which integrates it to the chassis. But Toyota being handy, this is the same floor pan section as an FJ. So late model FJ Cruiser seats bolted right in. And we used the main portion of the center console from an FJ Cruiser as well, and then built the modified piece to merge to the dash, and then again, sticking with the late model FJ Cruiser, that's where that switch panel is from.
Those are stock style Toyota buttons that you can fit.
And if I recall too, all of this is magnetic, so you can you can pull it off real easy.
Yep.
So it's all serviceable as well. And is the battery hooked up now? Like if you press these buttons, they all work?
We gotta go grab the key, but yes, we can get it. We can turn them on.
That's awesome. Let's do it. Let's fire it up. All right, Jason got the key. So I mean, what do we got here?
So we had to have, we wanted a original style key in the actual the original location. So
okay.
So that actually initializes it. Inside here is the actual original key fob that wakens up the security system on it.
So you have ignition on.
Have ignition on. So like I say, they wanted an original key in the original location. The key fob is inside here. That's to wake up the security system. It waits for a brake pedal input. It's communicated to the key. The green light means it's ready. And you can...
Just like that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So...
And all of this stuff. So what switches do we have here? We have fog lights, light bar, rock lights.
It's got the plethora of lights from Vision X.
Yep,
all
so,
their real cool stuff.
Yep, their whole line of stuff. So we got front fog lights, we got overhead light bar, we've got rock lights and halo. Put a switch in to run the winch, so that way the winch is not on
all the time.
Not all the time, so that way you can it's safe up there. We got rear fog lights, dome light, because this thing never had any door switches or anything.
Right.
And then we got center diff lock for 4-wheel drive. There it is.
And then 4-wheel drive low.
Yep.
That's amazing. Here, turn on all the lights. We walk around and see how bright this stuff is. So you got your rock lights going, that light bar that you can feel the heat coming off of. Jeez.
Yeah, it puts off some heat.
That's cool. And I love, my favorite feature is having the rock lights inside of the bumper here.
Highlighting everything in there.
That's so cool. So what winch is this?
This is a Warren 10,000 pound winch.
Which is more than enough.
More than enough. Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
10,000 pounds with a synthetic line.
That is so cool. Yeah. And really, obviously, video does not do it justice, but wow. That is. It is.
Look at the wall.
I know that is incredibly bright.
And
that's
they
amazing.
They make all kinds of different style. Those are you can switch them out in different colors. They have a whole line of different versions of LED pods that go in there. I think that is 18 of them. That's the longest bar.
Yeah, that's the Unite. So the cool thing about it is it's totally modular. So all those are individual cubes. So like he was saying, you can take that bar off and you can pop out any cube that you want, and you can switch it to amber.
So you could have like amber on the ends, and you could do like a fog light.
Yeah,
off
red
of it.
ones on the end. And,
yep. So
for dust
you can pick any configuration you want. It's pretty slick.
That hurts. That is really cool.
Same style that's in the front and the back too. As far as fog lights, the same situation with those. If you wanted to switch those out, they can be the same deal. They're the same pods.
Yeah, so that pod's the same as what's up there.
Essentially the same. Yep.
Cool. And then you said there's fog lights in the rear too.
Yep. We've converted the rear over to some LED bars. There'll be some actual tail light
make
covers,
some covers
factory
for that.
style once it fits right inside. And then the same lights down there. And then we're able to put in license plate lights and get them to work with the open and closing door. That was never that way on those.
That's awesome.
Didn't even have a license plate light originally, did it?
Some did, later ones did. And then we got a hitch wiring's all underneath there.
So yeah, this thing's all lit up.
Right.
And these bumpers. So I know you'd mentioned the goal was get it running, get it driving, and do the heavy fab work. So what was a lot of the fabrication work that you guys had to do down here?
So once we got it, like I said, the main body portion had been widened already. None of the front clip was done at all. So we widened the hood, grill, fenders. We built new rear fender, basically fender flares.
Okay.
The rear wheel arch on these things from the factory is real small, so it wasn't going to clear this tire, which is roughly like a 32-inch tire.
Okay. So all of this was handmade?
Yep. Mark built the side steps, so that's all kind of integrated, looks real clean, and then tied it into the front fender. Again, the front fenders were pretty narrow, so these things have been
They've been widened.
Yep, about 3 inches inside.
You can if you look, you can kind of see the seam right here.
Yep. And we had to do that because once the whole body got wider, basically with the track width and the rear fenders, this was just to get this surface out to match the rear.
Right.
And the FJ tapered down as it went where the Lexus chassis is very square from front to back. And so it to fit on top of it too. And then in actuality, they even had drivetrain movement and stuff to get everything to fit in the same proportions for the body with the Lexus, because they're not in the same positions.
Okay.
We widened here. You can see too.
Yeah, the hood.
The main part of the body has been widened.
You're gonna have to turn that light off. Can't see anything.
We took. We had 2 core supports and 2 grills. So basically, what we did here is you cut each one long and then put 2 of them together to make it wider instead of adding the seam.
Right. So the whole entire front end was kind of, I know, like Jason mentioned, these taper in together.
Yep.
So you pretty much just flared it out.
Yep. So really, compared to an original FJ45 in the nose, you're talking 3, 6, 9 inches overall that this thing is wider than it was originally.
That is crazy. And that's just to package the drivetrain.
Yep. Yeah, package the drivetrain and fit the track width and the wheelbase of the Lexus chassis.
And keep the proportion right.
Yeah, they changed the front snout of the frame to accommodate it and add the sway bar.
Yep. Yeah, we had to build a full, basically, core support to mount the radiator. Had to build basically a one-off sway bar assembly because the Lexus wouldn't fit with the winch.
Let's get under there and look at that.
So we actually have, it's actually a combination of spline bar parts from our subframe and our Corvette stuff.
Okay, yeah, the sway bar arm. A lot of you guys that are customers will recognize that.
Yep. So we started with one of the flat arms, and then I just bent it in the press, so you still get your full turn angle.
Okay.
So that was it. I was worried about it before we started it, but once we got into it, it actually was really easy to swap that sway bar setup in.
That's really cool.
And then the bumper, this is off of, or it's designed for a 2020 Jeep JL. It was from...
is that Fab Fours?
Fab Fours, yep. So if you looked at this on the website, it doesn't quite look like this. We modified it because we were working off a rendering. So basically this thing got cut down the center, all the way out to the sides, and we basically changed all of this shape to accommodate.
So it'll match.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, because I mean all the contours the same.
Yep. I'll grab that rendering for you so you can kind of see.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Really, really cool stuff.
And then we had to change turn signals in here. These are out of a later model Jeep because there's turn signal and park. The original FJ, this is only park, and the turn signals were
mounted up there.
Yeah, they're out there on the outside, but in the rendering they moved them to here and shaved those off.
Yeah, it just cleans it up a bunch. And I love the angry eye fabrication you put in there too. Yeah. It's really neat.
So basically these were the 2 renderings that we were given to work off of. So we could have scratch built the bumper, but being able to start with an existing part and just modify it,
it's so much easier.
It saves a ton of man hours, especially when it already kind of matches the overall style that they were going for. We did have to machine these bezels, so that was part of what changed, but overall it was really, really straightforward.
Let's pop the hood too. So the Lexus, it's a GX platform, so it's the 460 Lexus. Now what engine came in there?
The 4.6 liter V8.
So is that kind of like the same as like the I-Force line? Is that what they call it? I know the I-Force is the 5.7.
It's newer than the I-Force. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the same one that they use in the trucks too, is it right? I believe it's in the
the Tundras. Also use the 4.6.
Yeah. So it retained a lot of its original stuff to keep it the same. It was we did remove the air pump system and put in simulators for it because it would go into limp-in mode without the air pumps.
Okay.
We did eliminate the piping to that. Moved around, obviously put cold air intake on there.
Which is really cool. I mean, using a plastic kind of like DIY kit makes it looks factory.
Yeah, and it will draw from the side vent, the original factory vent there to pull from the side. Still use we're able to adapt another AC system in there, still use the factory compressor. But like I say, the other issues was the actual motor moved back 10 inches Which changed around a lot of its fitment as far as oil lines and just any of the lines itself to the original drivetrain. Most of it all had to be custom fabricated. So yeah, there's a lot of little changes to make it working without, you know, a lot less systems. We still have the ABS, traction control, accumulator, that all had to stay in there and live for the transmission.
That's amazing. I mean, when it comes to putting engines where they don't belong, we're pretty familiar with that. So I mean, it belongs on this chassis but doesn't belong in this vehicle. So the fact that you guys had to move everything around and you're still able to retain a lot of the factory stuff, mainly because you have to. It won't work if you don't.
Yeah, they don't. It's not. This is not one of the computer systems that's friendly for modifying and adjusting it. You pretty much have to play in their rules, and then, you know, kind of cheat them as you can. And, like I say, there was a few little things as far as the emission systems and stuff. Kind of had to defeat and kind of come up with different little fixes. You know, pressure sensors and stuff, just to trick them, so that way the computer's happy and get it to do what we want to do.
Right.
So,
I mean, it looks at home.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot more changing and fabbing and cleanup and stuff that'll happen on there. You know, when it's finished up on the other side.
Right.
This is to get them a running vehicle and then they can.
Yeah, like we keep saying, the goal was make it run, make it drive, and have a lot of the heavy fabrication work completed. Right. So
yeah, there'll be a lot of tidying up and stuff that'll happen on the other end when it's done. But yeah, just trying to make sure that it was feasible, that it actually could happen, and get it done where it runs. And again, same situation in this, where as the interior is, the original FJ has no place to hide wiring. There's no inner fender. There is no places. Everything is in your face. So
yeah.
So
it'll all be tidied up.
And it has to be on top of stuff and running different. There's not a cavity anywhere in this thing that's not visible.
Yeah.
So
at least just, you know, the ability for you to tidy everything up and put it in one spot. Now, I mean, you could just make an enclosure for that and cover it up.
Yep. We still have we've been using their round bulkhead connectors for passing through.
You love those. You put them in everything.
Yeah, like quick and easy. Get
exactly.
Take it apart. You know what numbers are what.
And what else is, as far as suspension goes? I mean, this isn't I wouldn't imagine this is factory Lexus ride height.
No, so we ended up going with a kit from Toyota. It's the Bosch coilovers in the front, and then it's a set of their rear lift springs.
But essentially, this is a kit you buy for a Lexus.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's a GX suspension kit.
Yep. It's bolt on.
And just bolts right in.
Yep. The only thing we really had to modify suspension-wise is because the engine moved back in the chassis. The rear drive shaft got really short.
Okay.
And doing that, we had to go to a double cardan joint on the drive shaft.
Right.
And we had to put a lot more pinion angle in it. So we did alter the rear lower link location, and we used the Icon adjustable links.
Okay.
And so basically, it took a little bit of tuning to get the proper pinion angle due to the change in driveline length. But other than that, it is all bolt-on parts. So, you know.
And that's a bolt-on Lexus or GX exhaust system as well, right?
That was actually for Toyota 4Runner.
Okay.
So basically, the Lexus, the 4Runner, and the FJs are all really similar chassis. I think with just the wheelbase changing. So we ordered the 4Runner kit from Magnaflow, and then we're just able to shorten it up for this application because, again, the driveline is so far back. We had to shorten it by about 2 feet.
I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, but again, it was a straight section of pipe, so
that was kind of easy.
Yep. Yeah, we just shortened it and it slip fit together like it was supposed to. And then the only other thing we did was we modified the exhaust tip to clear the rear bumper that we built.
Okay. We'll get back to this for a second because I know people are probably wondering why are the batteries under here. Cool. So yeah. Why are the batteries under here? So is this just packaging purposes?
There's just physically not enough room in the engine bay any longer with that engine in there, and it was the easiest place to, the only available space really that you could fit 2 batteries. We needed the 2 batteries because of the winch and the large sound system in there. It was just too much for the original electrical. So there's an isolator in the back, and we got 3 different kill solenoids there for killing both batteries, and then one that runs the winch. So that's why the the grouping back there. So
Yeah, and that'll all be enclosed.
yeah, if they choose to do that, they can live like that down there too. So
That's really cool.
So yeah, and then yeah, let's see the interstate batteries that are in there, and then the the mount has a couple different pieces and makes it easy to kind of slide off as a whole unit. So you can undo the cable ends and kind of put a jack on.
Yeah, put a jack on, just drop the whole thing down.
Drop the whole thing down, and it's still kind of all cradled together in one piece.
That's cool, and I think that falls in line too with, you know, everything we do here is all maintenance friendly. So
Yeah.
making that as easy as possible. And then looking up here too, I completely missed that, but we've got the e-stop electronic parking brake up here too.
Yeah. Again, you know, under the dash, you see everything is exposed. All the kick panels and stuff are exposed. So switching to the electronic parking brake was just another way to tidy up the interior.
Right.
And losing, even in that, the parking brake used to be in the center console, even on the Lexus. So there's
Yep.
they
Yeah.
had to give that space to the actual ECU, and even in the interior, the dashboard, there's not very much room in the dashboard because the wipers are actually inside. The
Okay.
linkage is internal in the dashboard, which eats up most of the dashboard space.
Yeah.
It's just moving arms. So
This is my first time laying under this vehicle, and I'm even just noticing this is the transcooler?
Yep, that's the transcooler mounted to the side of the frame rail.
Yeah, so I mean, it's easy to say packaging is key with this. You gotta
Yeah,
utilize as much real estate as you can.
It's honestly a tough vehicle combination. We spent a lot of time dealing with those types of things.
That's awesome. What else is unique to it? What else have you guys done?
I mean, another one, the rear bumper. We started with, that was a Jeep Comanche bumper, and basically it would have stopped right here. I got it mounted, and then Mark went ahead and they wanted to finish out the look. So basically this protects the sides as well as ties into the rear fender flare there. So it's all plated together.
And actually, I'll have to drop a clip in. I did a clip for Bailey because Mark used that right there.
Oh yeah, that was as soon as we got it.
Yeah, this right here was the first thing that we made on this brake from Bailey, because it's just a heavy duty brake, and you could, you know, move the fingers around to kind of get, you know, a slimmer piece in there.
Yeah, it's a box fan brake. You know, for years we did a ton of stuff in the press, which is fine for shorter pieces, but you know, parts like that, real long, especially like 90 thousandths or 1/8 inch.
Yeah.
This thing super comes in handy. We should have had one years ago. So
Yeah.
Everybody's spoiled now.
I know. So that was the first thing we did. So thank you, crew over at Bailey, making something like that. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it just ties into everything.
Next one we'll have to get on that magnetic brake. That thing.
Oh yeah, that thing's amazing. What about so you'd mentioned sound system too.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what's unique about that?
we'll go to the back here. Actually, you can catch us on the back.
Yeah, so I glanced over it and I was gonna ask you guys, do you know where Toyo Pet came from?
So isn't
That name?
It's early Toyota, and so this actually had a Toyota placard over it,
Yeah, you can see
Okay.
the holes.
and we popped it off, and the Toyota Pet was underneath. So
It's like something they did when they come to America. They covered it up. But
Okay.
But over in the Japanese made one that was apparently that was what they showed over there. So it was covered up for America though.
Do you know the backstory?
Not yet.
we'll
No.
have to get on Wikipedia.
We're gonna Google it.
Google it. Yeah.
Or how about this? In the comments.
There
If you guys
go.
know if you know what Toyo Pet stands for or the backstory behind why they put that on the FJs, let us know.
I think it was on the early trucks too, so it may have been what Toyota was called early on.
That's interesting.
Anyway, so you got your top left, bottom door. So back here, we got our 10-inch JBL subwoofer in this side,
Mhm.
which probably be able to see better from the other side. But
Yep.
and then in the box here, Josh and the guys here built this cool little storage area off to the side. Be able to store. We got for the winch. We got
Okay.
wireless control for the winch and some other stuff.
So that's
in there.
just storage.
Just purely
Throw whatever you
storage,
want in
yeah.
there.
You'll be able to do stuff with that. And actually underneath here, it's got a magnet cover on here. That's actually the JBL amp. That's a 5-channel amp. And all the adjustments are all over there, real easy to get at.
Yeah.
And that's actually mounted to the floor, so the box can actually come up and off of it.
And that'll stay right
and it'll
there.
stay right there, so that way it just straddles it. The box just floats over it.
And we got these really cool speaker grills
Yep.
over there
so
too.
we got 6-inch speakers front. We got 4 of them all the way around, and a tweeters up in the corner. all JBL. The whole system's JBL. And,
What was that? That was the club?
Stadium series.
The stadium.
Stadium series.
Yeah.
So I mean, anytime you put Stadium series in it, you know it's good stuff.
Dude, it actually sounds really good. Like once it gets upholstered, it's gonna be killer.
It's
Yeah.
amazing how well it sounds without having an actual chamber. No windows, no interior, no fabrics or anything. It actually still sounds really good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So Matt's actually Bluetooth connected.
Speed, engineering, and quality are at the heart of what we do. Whether it's in the thousands of products and components we design and produce in-house,
I mean,
it
sounds really clear.
We built for high-profile clients. Top of the line is our baseline. On the street or on the track, we guarantee products that are engineered and produced with performance in mind.
Yeah, I love that bass line. You hear everything rattle.
Every little rattle. Yeah,
That's
there
awesome.
needs to be a lot of gaskets and stuff still in this thing. So yeah, there's
Yeah, a lot of insulation and
yeah. So
Cool.
it'll all get a lot better, like I say, once it gets a closed chamber. But we put it with the speakers in the back part behind the subwoofer. So with the door open like that, you can actually sit in the back. It'll sound just as good as in
yeah,
the front.
yeah. If you're tailgating or
Yep.
something, you
You're
can hear it
tailgating.
all.
Yeah, subwoofer still behind you. You still have another set
Right.
of speakers and tweeters on that side.
And plus, if it was like right here, whoever's sitting in the back seat, I mean, they'll
you get blasted.
Yeah, they'll get blasted with it.
Yep. Yep.
Cool. And so what's all going on under the seat back here?
So we got we needed some more room for some of the electrical. So this is actually more mainly the vehicle as opposed to the Lexus drivetrain.
Okay.
So yeah, we got another large, just a fuse box area to run the light bars and the subwoofer with the amp itself. We just needed because the rest of the vehicle actually is integrated into the original BCM in Lexus. So
Okay.
the fuse boxes are actually the original Lexus fuse boxes, just repurposed. And then back here we have some relays for switch controls. There's a fuel pump module over there. We got it's got some more modules for the rock lights. And then some main battery cable pass-throughs, just because the batteries are directly below here.
Yeah. So just everything passes through right
Yeah,
there.
it's just a lot of stuff. It all heads down through this little center console area that we got between for the passengers.
I think that's awesome too. Cup holders for the passengers
Yeah,
back
It's
here.
kind of fun back there. And then this is out of a Bronco, isn't it, Matt?
Yep. Yeah, it's a Bronco seat that we cut down. So it's nice to have folding seats still. So you can fold it down, pile stuff in here, mess with the sub.
That's awesome. So that looks factory.
Yep.
But it's not.
Nope, it's not. It's made for us by Classic Instruments. They were able to do a new version or a redo of the original one with some changes for us for the systems this one has.
Okay.
So it says volt instead of amps, and then just so the sensors are correct to what we've got in this vehicle.
So this is completely electronic now.
Yep, completely electronic, brand new, except the outside housing. They'll paint that to match the dashboard, the black part.
Yep.
But everything else in there is all brand new. So that way, all the ratios match all of our new stuff. So,
Yeah.
Turn the key on there. We'll actually do a key cycle.
That's
and
awesome.
this one, the speedometer on it is run by GPS. Just trying to integrate with the Lexus Speedo and everything was it's just far easier to go with the GPS, more accurate. Actually, we turn it's got white backlights on it, so it's lit up. Looks they wanted the look to look like the original one. So
Yeah.
and still has all the needed options. And then in the center there, we've got our AC controls. Just it's kind of generally set up like it was. It's still running the original wipers in there. But yeah, to keep the kind of the traditional FJ dashboard, similar configuration.
Yeah. And you got all the AC vents and
You have
everything.
AC.
Cool.
And actually, yeah, you can see the tweeters and center console.
I know people are gonna ask now that I'm looking down here. So that's a dual brake pedal. We did that for Kyle's '57 Chevy truck as well, because I guess just the racing background. Whether he wants to left foot or right foot brake, that's just an option for him there that he requests on this build and the other one. Oh, and that's cool too. Is that a little like cell phone holder?
Yep. Or Tic Tacs.
you're on your Tic Tac kick. Yeah, just empty out your containers of Tic Tacs in there and just
Yep.
get them every now and then.
Yeah, it used to be the old pull parking brake area,
Okay.
and then yeah, we added the radio, the JBL radio, to the original cup holder, forward cup holder area.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we could probably just wrap this video up with firing it up again and letting people hear it. So that's it. That about wraps it up. I know a lot of you have been asking about it, so there you go. There's the backstory behind this 66 FJ45LV. Thank you to Matt.
No problem.
And Jason over there, our wiring wizard, figuring out how to make all of this stuff work and, you know, keep it true to Toyota. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you like videos like this, make sure you subscribe and shoot us a comment down below. Is this something you're into? Would you go tailgate in this? So we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.